Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday night. Welcome to my Zen Den. I'm so happy that you could join me. My name is Mandy VanHavermaet, and I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up from Gray Eagle, Minnesota. My hair's all wonky. And tonight I am going to be sharing with you a couple of cards using the Silly Goose stamp set. I think it's kind of a sleeper in the mini catalog. It's just a standalone stamp set. It doesn't have any dies or anything like that with it, but I think it's fun and it's quirky and it's just a little different. So let's flip the camera around and we are going to get stamping. Hello, LeVar. Thank you for joining. There we go. I always feel bad. You guys have to look at my weird face for just a second. Like, what am I doing when I'm switching the camera? I should figure that out someday, but you know, I'm a one camera operation here. Okay, so this is the Silly Goose stamp set. It is a red rubber set, pretty basic. It's got some really fun sayings with it. A silly goose told me it's your birthday, and then a second one that says the silly goose forgot. You've got a friend in me. Goosebumps kind of goes with that stamp right there. Sending gaggles of good wishes. Sending a big honkin' thanks, and I'm here for you. I think it's just a fun little stamp set, and I enjoy creating with it. So let's get into it. All right, so first card we're going to make, I've got some pieces here, and I'm sorry I didn't write them down this time, but if you need them, get a hold of me and I will let you know what those dimensions are. I've got a piece of pumpkin pie cardstock, cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored down the middle at 4 1/4. Just a basic card base. I've got some DSP, and this is from the Enjoy the Journey pack. So I've got a piece of 4 by 4, and we're going to actually cut this piece to suit our needs. And then I've got just a 1/4 inch strip of a contrasting color. This was just a piece, I think it was actually a piece of a middle, so I just wanted a 1/4 inch strip of that. And then I've got a little strip here also of Mango Melody for our, I'll show you what we're going to do with that. And then a basic panel 4 by 5 1/4 of basic white. So let's cut this stamp set let's not cut a stamp set, let's cut this piece of paper. What I'm going to do is grab a pencil, which I have a ton of pens. I guess we're using a pen. Okay, we're going to use a pen. And I'm going to actually mark on the back side of this. I'm going to mark down, and this is 4 by 4, so I'm going to mark down on one side at 1 inch, and I'm going to flip it 180 degrees, so my mark that I marked at 1 inch is over here. I'm going to mark 1 inch down on this side also. So be mindful of the way that you're cutting your paper too, if you want it a certain way when you make those marks. And then what we're going to do is bring in our paper trimmer, and I'm going to line those tick marks up right inside my track. Okay, so you can see that I can see that they're inside my track. I'm just going to cut it like that. And so now I've got 2 pieces of paper and they're identical. If your paper is directional, if it's a specific direction, be mindful of that. I will save this one for another card. This one I'm going to put right here. But first, before I attach it, I'm going to stamp my goose on there. And I like the goose stamp set because there's not a lot of coloring. Most geese are white, I feel. So there's not a whole lot of coloring that goes on with these geese. Yeah, them. So I am going to stamp them right down here, but I'm going to not tack that down, just because if I mess up, I've got options then. So let's bring in our Memento black ink pad and just ink up our stamp really well. And I am going to stamp it basically right in the middle, straight down and straight up. And I like my impression, so I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to cover it up. So now I can attach that down. That's a really good habit to get into, is to attach your DSP after you've done your stamping, if you can, just so that you have those opposites, the other side of the paper. I'm giggling. My cat My cats don't play with rail toys. My cats play with like golf balls and hair ties. And so there's a cat upstairs right now rolling a golf ball around on the floor. So if you hear it, that's what's happening. They're getting bored because they're stuck in the house and they want to be outside climbing trees and doing crazy things like that. And they can't. So this is where I'm going to put my strip here. So I've lined my designer series paper up right along the edge. I'm going to take that strip of paper, and if you don't have a piece of designer series paper to use, you can absolutely use a solid piece. In fact, I might turn that over. Do I like just the pink? Let's think here. What do I want to do? I think that pattern piece might just be a little too busy. I think I'm going to put that pattern piece down, and so it's just the pink side up. And I like to do this with scraps of paper because it uses up the scraps, and it's a really neat, a neat like dimension. It adds a little something to your card, right? What am I trying to say? So I'm just butting that right up to the edge of that paper, and I'm going to let that dry for a minute, and I'll just snip off the ends there. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to pull in some blends, and you can use easily, you could totally use colored pencils for this as well, but it's really simple coloring. So I've got, this is the dark pumpkin pie. Let's make sure, yep, it is dark pumpkin pie. I'm just going to color the beaks. And the feet. Really quick here. And I've done cards with this stamp set also where I've done Wink of Stella on the bodies of the geese. It's kind of a neat little touch. Gives it a little something. We'll see. We'll see if I feel like it after when I'm done here. If I feel like it. I'm going to take a light smoky slate, and I'm taking the fine tip, and I'm just going right under the wings, like each. Basically, I'm just making shadows wherever their folds on their feathers are. So that's about all the coloring I'm going to do. Maybe right at their feet, like the top of their orange there. That's about all the coloring I do with that. And then I'm going to take a light polished pink, and I'm just going to highlight their goosebumps. Isn't that cute? Okay, so let's snip these guys off at the ends. Like that. Doesn't that add just the perfect amount? Okay, so I'm going to fold and burnish my pumpkin pie. And I'll stick that right on there. Is that not the funnest colors ever? Oh, I love it. So cute. I totally am in love with that Greatest Journey designer series paper. And I love the front of it. I love all of it. There's not a piece of paper in that pack that I do not like. Such fun. Okay, so now I've got this little strip of Mango Melody. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stamp that says Goosebumps, and we'll see. It's centered pretty good on there, so let's see if we can get it right on there. So I've got my memento again. Cute. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to show you why. I'm going to take my snips. I'm actually going to cut this apart. So I'm going to take Goosebumps and cut it apart and kind of make it even. So I've got a little extra there in front of the G. Cut that off. All right, so now I'm going to grab some dimensionals. And you know I like the edges of these dimensionals. So I'm going to just take a few of those, one of each of them actually, one skinny one on each thing, on each of the words. Flipped up on me. And I'm going to put those right on right up in the corner. just like that. Isn't that darling? Oh, I love it. So cute. So that is card number 1. I better put a white piece on the inside because that's pretty dark on the inside. And this is just a great blank card if you'd like to. This would make kind of a neat graduation card, a little bit quirky. Goosebumps, you know, congratulations, or congrats grad on the inside. Pretty simple card. And it's, like I said, there's not a lot of coloring, so could make a lot of those. All right, so let's go on to card number 2. Card number 2 is a little different. It's a fun fold. So I have got, let's see, all the things I've got a piece of Basic White, and this Basic White is 6 by 5.5, and it's scored. So when I scored it at 4 1/4 this direction. So it's a basic card panel here, and then this piece here is, let's see here, 1 3/4 then. Let me make sure. Yes, 1 3/4. All right, so I'm going to fold and burnish that. Set that aside for right now. It looks like I've got a lot of pieces. This is a piece of designer series paper. It is out of the Regency Park paper pack. I've got a piece of, let's see, this coordinates. So let's see, it is Sweet Sorbet. My reds are getting mixed up. Sweet Sorbet, and this is 3.5 by, or let's see here, 3 1/4 by 4.5. And I've also got a piece of Petal Pink, same measurements, 3 1/4 by 4.5. And then I've got one piece of Basic White that's already cut with a Deckled Rectangle. I'm going to be cutting a second one, but I want to do my stamping first. This is for the inside. And then I have a piece of Basic White that I'm going to be stamping on. I've also cut a mask. We're going to be doing some blending brushes. So I used a circle and just cut out of a piece of paper that I had laying around. I have no clue what color that is. It's an old piece that I just used as a scratch paper. Then I've got a 3/4 inch piece of Basic White and a 1 inch piece of Sweet Sorbet. So let's do some cutting. This piece here, let's cut that. My opposite side I'm going to use also, and neither one of these are really two directional, so I'm not going to be too worried about that. I'm going to cut my piece at 4 inches and 5 1/4. Basic panel, right? So that's that. Now I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to cut it at 5 1/4 also, and 1 1/2. So I'm going to have a strip. This uses quite a bit of paper, but it looks really, really cool. This is going to be your scrap pile. You can use that for whatever you want later on. This is what we're going to use for our card. So we've got the 1 1/2 by 5 1/4 and a 4 by 5 1/4. So let's do our stamping first. So like I said, I've got my piece of Basic White and I've got my mask, and I've cut them to the same size. So my circle is going to be centered basically in the middle. I'm going to pull in my Petal Pink ink pad, and I'm going to grab a blending brush. And tonight I'm using the mini blending brush. Let me grab a big one too, just so I can show you the difference. So in the mini catalog, the January to April mini catalog, we have these mini blending brushes, and they're quite a bit different, or quite a bit smaller. This is a regular blending brush. This is the mini. And you would use, I grabbed this because it's what I had for Petal Pink. But you would use this if you've got a smaller area. The smaller brushes are a lot easier to maneuver, so you don't get the big area. This is more for a smaller area. Now I have a big area to cover, so you can use it for that, but just know that those are available as of right now. So we're just going to blend in our circle. And Petal Pink is very, very light colored, but you'll see it when I remove the mask. You'll see it really nice. But I am putting quite a bit on also. All right, so there is our circle. Isn't that fun? I love that technique. And here again, I'm not going to color my goose. I'm going to just stamp my goose in black. And I'm going to be using this little, isn't she cute? She looks so sassy. She looks like her name should be Stella. She should go with Wink of Stella. Maybe I should Stella her out. So let's just ink her up in some Memento. And I am going to go straight down and straight up, right inside of that circle. So just like that. She's so cute. She's so cute. I'm going to let that dry for just a second. I'm going to pull out my Deckled Rectangle dies. Love these dies. They are just some of the best. And I think, let's see, I'm going to make sure. Nope, the next one bigger. This is the size I'm going to use. Okay, so we're going to cut little Miss Stella the goose out. Do you guys do that? Do you name things? I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little different. Okay, I want to show you a trick too. So a lot of you have commented, like when you're using a cut and emboss machine, how when you put it through, it makes such a loud crunching noise, and it's like kind of a little scary, and you feel like you're breaking it. When you're doing a die that has a straight edge, try your best to put your die through like that. It's going to do two things. It's going to allow your die to go through your machine a little bit easier. It's kind of a science thing, and I'm not going to explain it because I really truly don't understand it. However, it does make it so that it goes through your die easier. It's going to prevent your dies from warping. It's also going to save your plates from warping quite as bad. So we're going to send it through the cut and emboss machine just like this, and I will be right back. All right, so there is our cut out goose. Isn't she darling? Love her, love her. Okay, let's assemble a card. Got all my pieces here. Stella's going to go in front of that pink piece, petal pink, and this piece is going into the middle. I'm going to adhere this piece, this designer series paper, right on the inside of my, oh, I just ran out of, I swear I run out of tape every time I'm on a video. Okay, so I'm going to adhere that right on the inside of the card. That's a little weird, right? I kind of like it though. Let me grab a tape runner here. Change this out. Lickety split, just like that. All right, so now this piece I'm going to flip over and I'm going to adhere right on like that. So I'm going to be kind of mindful that I'm lining it up kind of even with where it's lined up on that inside panel as well. All right, I'm going to burnish that one more time on the back so it stays shut a little better. There we go. All right, so we're going to adhere my deckled rectangle just to my basic, my cut rectangle. And I didn't use, I could have used the next size bigger of deckled rectangle, but I want to show you why I didn't and why I cut just a basic rectangle. So this is the one that we've cut here. If I would have used the next size bigger, I really would have covered up majority of my my designer series paper, and I didn't want to do that. So I cut just a little bit bigger than this rectangle so it doesn't cover up quite as much. So that's my thought process behind that. Is it right? Is it wrong? Yep. It sure is both, I guess. Because it's my card and I can do what I want. There's no right or wrong. That's the beauty of card making, right? All right, so that's the inside of the card. You know what's funny is I think I had every intention of putting the red on the outside and the pink on the inside. Oh well, there again, it's my card and I can do what I want. Sound like a spoiled kindergartner. Oh well, it's all good. All right. So we're going to adhere that on to there. And then when I put it on, I'm going to line it up. Yes, most definitely that should have been flip-flopped. Let's see. Let's see if I can do it. I don't care if I rip that. I'm telling you guys, don't ever take my cards apart. You're gonna see all kinds of goodness. Oh, but this is going to show on the back. Okay, I'm gonna have to get a new piece of, it's okay. I have another one of those because I had them cut for something else. Da 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 da, there's that. Let's grab some. My reds are really getting, they're all looking the same to me. Let's cut a new one. So I said 3 1/4 by, what size was this? What was this again? 4 1/2. All right, let's try it again. Pink on the inside. That's so much better. Got a little something there. Okay, so we're going to adhere that one onto the inside. That's so much nicer. Whew. Okay, so now we're going to adhere this on here and we're going to cover that up. And that does have a nicer contrast to that base or to that petal pink there. So I'm going to put more adhesive on just because I don't trust my adhesive that I removed from my first piece. Okay, look at that. Stella's so much happier on a Sweet Sorbet. All right, so we're going to put some adhesive, and I'm putting it on my panel here because I don't want to get it in the wrong spot on here. So I'm going to line it up with this right there. All right, so there's our card. Let's put our sentiment on there. And I did pull out my Sweet Sorbet ink, and I am going to use the sentiment, sending gaggles of good wishes, because I like that sentiment. And I've got a pretty big piece of paper there, but I figure I'm going to trim it. So, and I could use black ink too. There's nothing wrong with that. I just thought I'd use my Sweet Sorbet. So stamp straight down on that 3/4 inch piece. Perfect. And now I'm just going to trim it to what I want it to be. It's a straight cut. I can do that. Really simple. And then I'm going to mount it onto here. And let's use dimensionals. I've got 2 dimensionals here. Stick those right on. So I'm bumping it up off of the Sweet Sorbet, and then I'll put the Sweet Sorbet directly down onto my panel. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to eyeball it again. It's a nice thin cut. There we go. Perfect. If you wanted to use a punch or something fancy, you totally could, but I'm just doing it that way. Super cute. Just center it on there. Perfect. Let's see. I'm going to grab some, I think I'm just going to grab some of the iridescent rhinestone jewels. I think these are some of my favorites in the catalog. I like the way they look with everything. Sometimes they look pink, sometimes they look more yellow. They're just very neat. And 3 is my magic number almost always. Let's see here. Let's go on the outside like that. Perfect. All right. So there is card number 2. Got my stuff. So I'll bring in the other card. Let's get rid of my mat here. Didn't those turn out so cute? I love them. I really do like these geese. Okay, so let's flip my camera around. Thank you, Joyce. I think they turned out really cute too. Okay, so I am going to flip my camera around and say goodnight. Here in Minnesota, it sounds like we're gonna have another blizzard because, you know what, we're at this much snow. Let's go for a record. And I think that we're probably, I think, what did I hear on the news? We're number 10th in the history right now. Let's just go for a record. Let's go for one. Let's bust it all out. Okay. Anyhow, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you get some crafting in. If you have any questions regarding the Silly Goose stamp set, feel free to ask. I'm going to try to put the measurements in the YouTube video. Yes, time for more stamping, Joyce. Yay, we'll just lock ourselves in our craft room. I'll be in my Zen den. It'll be great. So have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.